So I am Valerie Lockhart. I am the executive director of the Albert Lea-Freeborn County Chamber. And outside of my chamber life, um, I also run the Minnesota Tech Network, and the Minnesota Women in Tech. And so I would say the last 4 years, I've been doing a lot of AI training across the state, helping people and mostly business owners learn how to use AI to be more efficient in things and kind of automate some of the tasks that are the most annoying for them on a day-to-day basis. Um, what always comes up in most of those conversations is marketing. So people want to know how to do it faster, do it easier, do it better. Um, and what we're going to talk through today will be a little bit of kind of the things that I have seen or the ways that I have helped people, um, make their marketing more efficient through AI. So we won't go too in depth about the different tools because it's kind of agnostic. It doesn't matter which tool you're using, these tips should work. And I know when we submitted the registration, somebody asked if we would talk about what platforms do what, and we can touch that a base a little bit. About that and which platforms are good for which type of things. But most of the general stuff that we'll talk about would be applicable no matter what platform you're using. So hopefully that is helpful. Um, Let me see here. It also doesn't matter what industry you're in. These can all, everything we'll talk about can be generalized to your field or your type of company. So it doesn't matter what size, whether you're selling products or services, or the fundamentals of what we're going to talk about are all the same. So what the thing that I really want everybody to know is like AI is not it's a helper. It's not an authority. So even if you're, cautious or confused, hopefully this will help clear some of that up and you can see how you can use it. Most of you answered that you're already like dabbling or have a little bit of experience with it. So this will just help you use it better, hopefully. That's the goal, at least. Any questions before we get started into the session? Close that. All right. All right. Um, so you don't need more marketing. You're already doing a bunch of stuff to market your companies. What you need is better leverage. And I want to start us out by kind of reframing what AI is and how it can help. It's not something that is going to replace your voice or your strategy. You still have to be in control of those things. What it can do is help you get more value out of the effort that you're already putting in. So, for entrepreneurs who are by themselves or even just with a small team, it can feel really daunting to have to do marketing because you're stretched thin as it is. And for big companies, it feels really slow because you have so many kind of levels that you have to get approval and all of those things. So AI can help uh, maximize both of those situations. Um, Another problem that I like that comes up is most people think that when they have marketing problems that it's a tool problem. It's typically not the tool. It's really about having clarity in your message. And that is one way that AI can really help, is to help provide that clarity because it can reflect what you're giving it and kind of help you see the places where you could make it better. So that's, it's about leverage. Um, so I'm sure everybody here is doing some form of these marketing tool or using some form of these marketing tools. Um, If you're not, I would love to hear what you are doing because these are kind of typical. So, uh, you have a website that's giving information. You're maybe collecting emails and sending out email blasts. You're on social media. You're hosting a live in-person events, maybe. And then hopefully everybody here is utilizing their Google business profile. And we'll talk more about that as a very important tool, especially now in the age of AI. It's gotten even more important. And we'll talk more about that for those of you who maybe haven't optimized that or haven't taken control of that account for yourselves. It's very important. So, like I said, most businesses are doing some of these things, if not all of them. And this list is applies whether you have one person doing marketing or you have an entire department in your company. So this list is what we're going to talk about and how AI kind of fits in with each of these segments and how it can help get more things more consistent um, and more clarity. So AI can help by saving time. It can improve clarity, like I said, and it reduces some of the friction. What I want everybody to remember, though, is AI hallucinates. So it does just make things up. That is not a bug, it's a feature. It's built into every model. Some of them are better than others when it comes to reliability of information. But every single AI tool is only as good as the data that it is trained on. And so there are things that we can do to help get better results, but we always have to check every output to make sure that it's actually the right information that we want to be putting out. So I like to think of AI as like a really smart intern that I still need to make decisions and like give the final approval on things. But they're really good at generating and saying, "Hey, does this look good?" That's kind of the role that I let AI play in my marketing and AI world. So it's best when it's used that way as an assistant, not as a decision maker, because if you just let it run with what it comes up with, it may be putting out wrong information. Um, there is a there's been a bunch of cases where people have not double checked the AI output on things, or it looks pretty good or it sounds good, and so they just run with it, and it has caused lots of trouble. So one recent case that comes to mind was a lawyer here in Minnesota that actually used it to create some case law before he went to court, and it literally just made up some cases and it cited them and it looked correct and he didn't double check and it ended up being all fake case law. And so he got thrown out of that court case and I believe disbarred. So you want to make sure that you are double checking every output that comes out of an AI tool. Your judgment is not optional. So, uh, just a warning. A little bit about how we can do a better job of getting less hallucinations out of an AI tool. These are just some good tips. For those of you who maybe haven't heard of it, using a persona is really helpful. So you kind of tell the AI what role you want it to take. So you can say things like, you're a skeptical consumer who isn't sure about this thing. Please draft a, some copy that would speak to them. So telling it kind of what perspective you want it to take before it does its draft can help reduce those hallucinations. Keeping things really simple, not having it do 10 different steps all at once, but taking those and breaking them apart and doing it step by step. And then telling it examples, say, I really want this in a list form with bullet points. Or if you want it to create an image, you can have it create an image. It depends on what platform you're using, but always telling it kind of what you want that outcome to look like before you ask for it. If you have a paid version of ChatGPT, you can upload information. So you can like add an image or a document, and that can help give it some extra context to what you're looking for or what you want it to study or learn from. So that way you get less hallucinations out of the model. The most important thing that I will just reiterate again is it's really important to keep a human in the loop. So anything that it's creating, just make sure that you are double checking or having someone double check before it gets sent out to make sure that there are no weird things in there. But it's really helpful, for analyzing prior data. So for those of you who are pretty active on social media, one way that I like to use AI is to export an Excel file or a list, a CSV file of all of our posts, and then have it analyze, like ask the AI to analyze like which posts did the best in a certain time period. It can be very helpful for things like that, and we can get more into that as we go. But these are some ways to make it less hallucinating. So you're already doing marketing, and you already know kind of what works, right? You know where your customers are already finding you, maybe what's bringing in your best leads, what people in your industry are asking about. And AI can help find out those things. Like I kind of said, you can upload spreadsheets and kind of have it analyze where your leads are coming from if you don't know or if you're not sure. But it's really important as business owners that we have an understanding of what is working. And this is AI aside, just knowing what works. So you can do things like um, tell the AI a little bit about your customer and set up your customer as the persona. So you can think of maybe the last 10 customers, not really your ideal customer, but like the 10 actual customers that last customers that you've had. And then, give some demographics or some information to the AI, not specific, but just generalized, and say, if this is my customer base, what types of messaging should I be using or something like that. So you can kind of use the information that you already have and have the AI help you get other insights from it or get clarity on how you're messaging with those folks. Before we jump into SEO and web, are there any questions or things that people are not clear about at this point? I want to make sure I give you opportunities to get clarity. Okay, seeing none, I will keep going. All right. So we're going to talk about SEO, which is search engine optimization. And we're going to talk a little bit about how it's changing with AI. Um, the thing that I will say is, even for people that have been in marketing for years, they consider themselves experts. SEO always feels really abstract because the rules have never been super clear and it's always changing. So it's based on algorithms and it's always been about page ranking and what keywords you're using. Um, there's always been this feeling of like how to game that system. And with AI, it's changing the way that we can work with our websites and web searchability. So it's going to be less about keywords and more about having content that actually answers people's questions online. There's going to be less about like what ranking you are because AI is going to rank first. Like you've probably already seen it as you've been doing some Google searches. There'll be, you'll ask a question on Google and now an AI response comes up first, and then you start to see the page rankings. And so because of that, um, that ranking is getting less and less important. But what is more important is that the robots that scrape your website can understand what it is that you do or what service you're providing. So it's going to be less about the information on the pages that you have and more about trust and verified companies. And like, if a human can't explain what you're doing clearly, then AI won't be able to either. So search engines are more about people learning about your business and not you having the right keywords in the right places, if that makes sense. So it's called AIO, which is AI optimized SEO, basically. And so what's happening is it is rewarding different things than what SEO has. So having really clear descriptions on your website, having consistent information on your web and your Google site or your Google profile, making sure that things match up, using real language and making things simplified. So, not using a bunch of like acronyms or jargon that people might not understand, but answering questions that people might be asking of your industry. And then trust signals are really related to links to other sources. So having backlinks from partners, having media coverage linked on your site. If you ever get quoted in a paper, having a link to that can show that you are a trusted source of information. It's not really about being perfect with keywords and SEO, but just accurate and consistent information that reiterates that you are a legitimate business and that you are trusted. So it applies across the board, whether you're a nonprofit or retail or healthcare, whatever it is. Um, Everybody is held to that same kind of standard. And so AI is kind of looking for those signs of um, the signs of credibility. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Google business profiles because these are very important because of the way the AI robots are scraping websites now. Um, the Google business profile, which if you Google your own business, this is kind of that thing that shows up on the side bar that has your address and phone number and like links to reviews and all of that stuff. If you have not taken control or don't know who is in control of that site, I can, if you want to reach out later, I can help walk you through that. But it's very important that you have some control of it if you are the owner or your head of marketing, whatever. Um, Someone in your business should have control of that site. They create one for every business basically, but you do have to like claim it. And then there's a process to verify and make sure that you're really legitimately the person that runs it. But once you get it, it's a very important tool to help you manage the web search. Um, right now, AI searches that and cross checks the information on your website and reviews that are happening with any information that is on that Google profile. So that's why it's important to keep those things consistent and make sure that they are updated regularly because if they're not and they're not consistent, it makes it less trustworthy. And so you will get your information won't get included in those AI results and it will push you down further in the ranking. So things that are tied to this are obviously search. And then on maps, this is also connected to your Google profile. So if someone's looking for directions, if you haven't claimed this, you might not show up on the maps. This is also where Google reviews happen, and then people can call and get directions straight from this profile. So, very important to make sure that this is relevant and that you have updated the information. So some of the ways that you can do this using AI is you can have have the AI rewrite your business description so that it's clear and talks more locally so people know, like, hey, if I'm in Albert Lea, where can I get this? And if your description has that in it, it will be more likely to pop up. Um, you can have it respond to some of the reviews that you get because that's really important to show that engagement. So, uh, Google gives you a link that you can send out to your customers to have them give you reviews. And every review you get, you should respond to. And so, even if it's nasty, uh, we have to respond to them and make sure that we are. And sometimes using AI to respond to them is helpful, particularly if they're nasty, because then you can have the AI help you say something in a nicer way than you maybe want to say it. But that's near here, they're there. So, um, just remember that it can hallucinate. Again, this is an opportunity where you're going to want to double check the information, but it can help in all of these ways. Another way for photos, having AI analyze a photo and write the alt text for a photo can be very helpful. It's also really helpful for accessibility. So if you upload any photos to your website or social media or the profile without alt text, if someone comes to your site that is using a screen reader, if they can't see, when they come to that picture, they see nothing if there's no alt text there. So it's good for that. And it also helps with that kind of SEO scraping that Google does. So any keywords or things can be put into that alt text and it helps solidify the consistency of your web presence. Um, Hopefully that makes sense. Like I said, after this, I'm always happy to help companies optimize their Google pages because it's super important for getting found. So now we will go into kind of your website copy, emails, and social media, anywhere you're communicating. Um, this is, whether you're rewriting things or you have a draft of something that you always send out, maybe you need to spice it up a little bit. You want to have the AI help you with those drafts, but you also want to make sure that it sounds like you and that your voice doesn't get lost because your customers will know if you're just posting stuff that's like clearly AI written and not from a human being. It's harder to tell sometimes, but there are little ways that it just doesn't quite sound like you, especially if they know you personally. So that's another reason to keep humans in the loop. So when it comes to websites, it's really good at rewriting and clarifying information. What is important is having it look at not just what you do, but why it matters. And having you kind of, you can give people a list of these are the services I provide. But what AI is very helpful is taking that list of services and applying a lens of why it helps people or what they get out of it. Um, there's an old adage that whenever you're writing anything in communications, you have to put the what's in it for me. and you will be more successful in communicating with that other person. So you have to show them what's in it for them, what they will gain from it, uh, and why it's important or why it matters to them. So kind of learning and putting yourself in the shoes of your customer. AI can be really helpful at helping you translate some of the things that you want to say into clearer, more customer friendly language. So, uh, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're selling crops or services. Uh, when people are looking for something, they're always looking to answer, is this for me? Is this what I need? And so if you can put yourself in that perspective and or have the AI help put you in that perspective, it can help you find the language that will resonate more with folks that you're trying to reach. Again, no jargon, no acronyms that people might not understand. You have to make it very clear, and in language that they know. So some example prompts might be, here's the copy from my website. Please take this and write it clearer for someone who's a first-time visitor, or maybe somebody who doesn't understand this field. Um, make this sound more human and less technical. Those are just a couple of examples of how you could reframe some of your existing content. It's good to think of AI as like a first draft partner. And then you can go through and say, well, I like this part, or I don't like this part, or kind of edit after the fact. Um, but I will say you want to give it something first. Give it some bullet points or some context to what you're trying to do, or else it'll come out very vague and it won't be good content, good copy for you. So the other thing I want to remind you is if something sounds too good, just double check. So ask the AI to give you the sources if it's pulling information. You can also have uh, kind of work back and forth with the AI and have it ask you questions to solid or make your argument more solid. Um, it sounds kind of weird, but sometimes it can be a good brainstorming partner versus just a drafter. So when it comes to email, same kind of thing applies, but you can help make uh, emails shorter, clearer, have a different tone, be it customized for your audience. Let's see, Katie. When writing an AI prompt, is there a better format than others? For example, using one long paragraph or bullet points. I You don't want to give it too much, but what I always do is I give it a persona. So I tell it to act as I'll just pick on you because I know your business. You could say, act as a corporate director who is looking to hire out for accounting services. So you kind of give it that role that you want it to play, and then say, I need to draft copy for my website, and I want to make sure it highlights this, and this. So 4 bullet points. If you give it that information, it's going to do a much better job of giving you the content that you're looking for than just saying, give me 4 bullet or write me a paragraph for the website about accounting services. So it's kind of like shifting it and giving it parameters or constraints to work within. So that way it'll give you a better result. I hope that answers. Does that answer your question? Hopefully. Okay. So with email and more direct communications like that, the example prompt that I have here is if you have some old emails that you've been sending out, you can kind of give that to it for context. And then just say, can you turn this into a short, friendly update that people will actually read? Or make this more persuasive so that people will be more likely to click on it. Things like that. You can give it that context or that extra layer to look at it through so that it will give it specific messaging that will help. Um, you're not changing the message per se. You're just making it easier to read or easier for that person to understand what you're asking for. So for small organizations, it kind of reduces the weight of rewriting things all the time. And then for bigger organizations, you can help standardize the tone that you're using across the whole organization. So if you have, people that are sending information out from one department versus another, you can have kind of an example prompt or that kind of explains the tone that you want it to take. And then each department can use those same parameters so that your messaging is staying more consistent across departments. It just helps standardize tone. And then obviously like human capacity for paying attention is so low that anytime we can make things more efficient or faster or easier, it's more likely to get read or get that action step taken. Um, we all know we have no attention span anymore. So the faster you can get to the point, the better. For social media, how AI is helpful, there's a lot here. Like every platform has a built-in capacity for like rewriting something with AI or even generating something. So I know for those of you who are maybe using Canva, there is, generate an image. You can also do that with um, Grok if you're using X, or if you are on ChatGPT, it can create images. There's with Google Gemini, it's called Nano Banana is built in, so it's an image generator. All of these things can be used and to create new content or new pictures. But what's really cool about any platform is that, especially if you're using a large language model like Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, you can take one post or one information and have it repurpose for each of the platforms that you want to post it on. So if you have something really kind of longer that you've written for like a LinkedIn post, you can have it reformat and recalibrate for Facebook and for X and for Twitter, for X and Instagram. So it can change the tone or like what things are hashtagged or how many characters there are depending on the platform. So it's not really about posting more often, but it's about getting more value out of each idea because you can take that one thing and then just repurpose it and reuse it for different things. Um, the one thing that's really important with any social media marketing is that you're consistent. So, whatever that is, if it's daily, if it's weekly, if it's monthly, however that cadence is that makes the most sense for your business, being consistent with that is more important than being creative and doing it at all these different times. Like the consistency is what builds an audience. And so, AI can really help you with getting new content that could be scheduled on a regular basis. It can help you write video scripts. Um, it's really just good at like brainstorming and getting new ideas out of what you've already been doing. So one way that I have used this is I will upload kind of a spreadsheet of um, maybe it's special event dates or meetings that are coming up or things that are I need to write content for. And I will give that to the AI as context and say, these are the things that I want to cover. Um, can you give me content for 3 weeks of posts that are spread out? And it can do that and give you kind of a schedule or a calendar, and then you can go in and tweak each one and make sure that it looks good, but it saves a lot of time from having to write all of those posts from scratch. So this works whether you are, business to business or business to customer. It can help you kind of batch ideas and like look ahead a little bit and say, these are the things that are coming up. How can we plan? a marketing campaign that leads up to this using this information. So lots of different ways to play around with this. Any platform should be able to give you something. What is interesting sometimes is to play around with a bunch of them and see what the different versions are that come out. So if you have Google as your email provider, you have access to Gemini. You can use that. If you're a Microsoft workspace, you have Copilot. It can also do the same things. And then, of course, if you're paid GPT or some of these other models, just try them out and see what different ways they come up with things, and then pick the ones that you like the best and run with it. One warning is you want to try to anonymize information as much as possible before you put it into a public model. So if you're using the Gemini or the Copilot that is paid for by your email host, those are a little more protected than just ChatGPT. That one's more out in the wild. So any proprietary information or personal information about customers or names or anything like that, you want to make sure it's not in the information that you're giving to those models. But it can help greatly uh, reuse or repurpose things and help you stay consistent without burning out, which is way, way more important. So, one of the simple things that I try to do is like pick one message or one thing that I want to cover, have it kind of rework with AI and work it out to a place that I like it, and then have it take that post, reuse it and repurpose for all the different channels. And then I just go in and schedule it one time for everything and I'm done with it. One of the companies that I work with coaching, they do all of their scheduling a month ahead of time. So she'll just sit down and schedule for the month. And then if things come up that are more timely or more topical, she'll kind of go in and tweak things and maybe do a post here or there and then reschedule some of the ones that she had scheduled. So it's really about doing a little bit of the work up front and having AI help, and then having you can manage it on the fly as you go, but there's something consistently already set for you. So doing less and better is the goal. Very quick reminder, AI is really good at drafting, really good at rewriting and summarizing information, but it's also really good at hallucinating. So you have to double check. We as humans are always very good at having judgment, what's right and wrong, especially for our own businesses. We're good at building trust and relationships. We're good at being in community with each other. And we're good at having that ethical lens that we can look at things through. AI doesn't really have those. It has some ethics, I'll say, because of how it's programmed, but those are also human things that have been programmed in. And so the responsibility really stays with us to make sure that we are, deciding what's best for us and our business, and using the AI as a tool to help us get better results or get more efficient results. So AI is not really replacing your voice, but it can help your customers understand it better and have more clarity in what you're offering, how they can engage with you, and how you can build a better customer base through all of these channels. So I want to stop blabbing at you and open it up for questions and specifics, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you're curious. If there's anything that you want to talk through or specific use cases, let's talk about it.